Hey guys, welcome back to another scanner review on the Simple Car Guy channel. Today we're checking out this TOPDON AL500 OBD2 code reader with O2 sensor testing capabilities. Let's see what comes in the box and if it's worth the $50 asking price. So it comes in this plastic little box. So AL stands for ArtiLink, I guess. 500. Let's look in the back as well. So, you can diagnose a lot of the items that you would normally need a mechanic for, which is kind of the point of these in general. It, of course, supports all 10 OBD2 modes for most cars, starting 1996. Do check, to make sure your car is compatible, but usually they are, especially if you're in the US. It can, of course, read and erase code, so that's kind of the main purpose of this device. Live data in graphic mode or format, which is big deal for this scanner. These less expensive scanners don't always have the live data capabilities or the graphic, or being able to graph the data that we can see. So that's pretty cool. And something that's kind of unique to this one is that it has LED light. So you can find the OBD2 port much easier. You can also look up the codes, record and play, and you can even print from your computer. You do need the update software for that, and you have to plug it into your computer in order to print. So that's kind of up to you if you want to use that feature or not. It also comes with a little leaflet that tells you how to actually upgrade it. So you can see, you go to the website, you download the stuff, what you need. You will need a Windows machine. So the rest is just in different languages. And then you have a full user's manual. This is actually in good English a lot of the times. Well, I always check for this and let you guys know, because I hate when it's like stuff that doesn't, English words, but it doesn't make sense. This is written by somebody that actually speaks English. So that's pretty cool. And it tells you how to use every single feature on here. You also have your mini USB cable that you will use to upgrade it and transfer reports to print. I think that's about time we take a look at the actual device. So let's take off the protector from the screen. This is, I believe, a 320 by 240 display, so pretty good for a scanner. Nice tactile function keys and directional keys. Solidly made, obviously. Most of these are nowadays. We have a very long cable. This is probably like 4 or 5 feet. So that's good. And like I said, we have the little LED in here to find the port in the car. Speaking of the car, let's go plug this into the car and see what kind of features it has and if it's something that would be useful to you. Alright, so I just plugged it in. Let's see. Well, it only took a couple of seconds for it to load. So clearly it doesn't, require a lot of time for it to boot up, which is definitely a nice feature if you're working a lot of cars or trying to get to the point quickly. This is the main menu. Here you see your diagnose button. You have your IM. So this is basically for emission testing. Then you have review. So if you record any of the stuff that you're working and diagnose, you can review that here. Lookup, we'll go into that in a little bit. Print, help, settings, and info. Info is just information on the device itself. Setup, you have language, units of measure, record mode, and beeper. I turned that off because it was kind of annoying. In language, you have all of these languages, so if that's important to you, there it is. Units of measure, metric or imperial. Record mode, so it's either yes or no. So right now it's a no, and then you can press OK to switch it to a yes. Okay? All right, so that's setup. Help, basically information about OBD, data stream, and how to actually print, or IM readiness, so you can check that out, if you need help with that. Now, print, like I mentioned earlier, you have to plug into the computer and have the software, and then you can print it out, whatever you have saved within the device. But now let's go to the main event of this device, and that's going to be diagnose. I'm going to click on that. What it's doing is figuring out which protocol to use in order to scan my car. Different cars use different protocols. And the first screen that you see is whether the car has the engine light on, whether there are any DTCs, which are basically error codes in the computer, and how many data stream or PIDs are supported. So for this car it's 51, which is quite a lot. Okay, another cool thing that you will not see in other scanners, that you have a little green LED now, so that means no codes on the car, right? So if you had any pending ones or permanent, pending ones the one that basically are not present at the moment, but were there, at a certain time and haven't been reset yet. Permanent are the ones that are still present on the car. But this is kind of a cool indicator that tells you from now on, once you've scanned the car, if anything's present or not. We can read codes. Obviously this car is good, so there's no codes to read. But if there was anything, we can then go to erase codes, and we would erase everything. As it mentions here, if you do erase your codes, the emission stuff will also be erased, and you will have to drive for a little bit before you can go to do emission testing. So speaking of emission testing, you have IM readiness here. So if we click on that, what it's going to do is check the car and see if it will actually pass emissions, right? So clearly this car would, since you have your, the fuel, the catalytic converter, evaporating system, O2 sensor, all that stuff, EGR system, all of that checks out. If you reset the codes, this will go away, and you have to drive the car for, I believe it's at least like 20-30 minutes before the car will do a recheck, and this will work properly one more time. Okay, let's go back. Now, data stream. So this is kind of a big deal for a scanner in this price range. Like I said, the scanner is about $50, $55, and they often have coupons. Now, you have a lot of PIDs in here, and these are the items or the sensors that the car reports to the OBD2 protocol. So after it loads, you see that there's 45, it said 51, but I guess actually 45 different live data items that you can see from here. So like the long-term fuel trim, short-term fuel trim, engine RPM, manifold pressure, vehicle speed, throttle position, intake air temperature. I mean, lots and lots of stuff. This data is very important when you're troubleshooting, obviously, but what's even more important is that you get to compare it. And the way you would do that, so let's go back and I'll show you. So I'm going to click exit. Now that we're here, we can go to select items, and instead of having all 50 items or so selected and displayed, what we can do is actually select whichever items we want to see and compare in real life or real time, instead of having to scroll through, tons and tons of pages. So we can select fuel rail or fuel system status, engine coolant temperature, short-term fuel trim, let's see, intake air temperature. That's about it. Then you hit exit. And now you have those 4 items that we have selected all on the same page and displayed at the same time. So if you're troubleshooting certain things with the car, you can pull the specific items or the items that you need on here and compare it, compare them and make sure everything is right, and compare it against the data that's available for your vehicle. Obviously you need like a manual or service workshop manual that would tell you what the items are supposed to be. Now another cool thing here is that we can actually graph some of the items. Not all of the PIDs are graphable, obviously, because if it's a static a static type of thing that you don't really, or like it's on or off, there's nothing to graph. But if we select engine coolant temp and intake air temperature, right now, well, right now the car hasn't ran, so obviously the same, it's the same data, but you can see it's graphing it right there, and it's giving you the same information here at the bottom. So this is really cool. Not a lot of scanners can do this, until you get to like $100 scanners. So in this price range, it's definitely a cool feature. Freeze frame, there's nothing on this car, but if you were running this scanner while there's a fault happening in the car, that's where it would show up. So it'll show you like what has happened while you're there. And then another item that's kind of makes this one unique from the less expensive scanners is the O2 sensor testing. So if you go in here, we can test the actual O2 sensors. and it tells you right there. So the test value is 1.027, minimum is 0.3, maximum is 1.99, so that means we have passed. All right, so we can do the same thing for bank 2. This is a V8, so you know there is multiple sensors on here. But yeah, there you go. So minimum, maximum, and we are right, well, not right in the middle, but somewhere in there. And you can test other things in here as well. Onboard monitoring, it does not work on this car, I believe, except for a couple of things like catalytic monitor or catalyst monitor, sorry. So you can see same thing, minimum, maximum, test value, pass. And you can do even evap monitoring right there. All right, so these are all the diagnostics menu items that we have on this scanner. Pretty cool. Definitely a lot of features for scanner that's not very expensive. This is just a shortcut, basically the same as this. So if you click on that, it's going to scan the car one more time and check for those items that we saw earlier. Now, if you go in review, we can review what codes have been recorded in this device. But this is basically a shortcut to get quickly to DTC, data stream, and freeze frames. Lookup, this is to where you can look up different codes. All right, that's about it for this scanner. Like I said, pretty good quality. Obviously, it does not offer very advanced functions, but it's also only 50 bucks. You can't expect this to do, functionality of a $500 scanner. I do like that it does the O2 and other system testing. That's pretty unique to this one. I also really like the LED on the end of the OBD2 port that you can see where you're plugging in. Very helpful if, in most cars, the OBD2 port's kind of hidden, so that helps you get it plugged in properly. Also love that little LED in here. You basically right away know if your car is good or not, if you have any issues, or if it's good to go. Who is the scanner for? Basically for a home mechanic or a DIYer or somebody that checks cars for more simpler things. If you're looking for a basic scanner with some extra functionality, this is for you. I have links in the description if you'd like to purchase one. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you'd like to leave a comment, go ahead and do so below. Like the video for more reviews, and subscribe to the channel for more car and automotive videos. I'll see you guys in the next one.